and welcome back to another episode of Single Sounds. I'm your host, Katie Mack, and this is the only podcast that helps its listeners find a date. I interview the singles, and you, as the listeners of this podcast, can write in if you would like to date them. If you are listening in real time, happy first week of July. I can't believe it's July. And I'm currently recovering heavily from Glastonbury, which was absolutely unbelievable. And I can't wait to share with you some details and footage from the singles event I hosted. It was such a good atmosphere and met some really cool people. So if you're listening from that weekend, hello and welcome. This is also a good time to get in that I am hosting another singles event live show, which is going to be a blind date format, co-hosted with two thirsty who are well practiced in doing these kind of events. An example of a round would be one girl and three men. She asks the men questions, and then based on this, she would pick her favorite. Then they do a reveal where she gets to see not only the person she picked, but then the other two contestants. And she gets the option to stick or twist. Very dramatic. And then eventually the person chosen also gets asked if they would like to go on a paid for date with the person that picked them, or if they would just like to take the money. A classic split or steal situation. Honestly, I've been to two of these shows before and I've seen all sorts of outcomes. It really is quite unpredictable what happens, and it's such good entertainment. And then during the interval and after the show, we obviously will have opportunities where you can mix with the audience and all the singles in the room. It should be super fun. So get those tickets. Link is in the show notes or on my socials at Single Sounds. This week's episode is a single male of London. He did used to work in finance, but now has his own PT business. So he is very aware that one of his strengths is being consistent, which I agreed for dating is pretty important. It might go without saying he will be most compatible with those who also like to wake up early, but he has a lot of other interests, including learning Spanish and traveling. He won't be getting up and dancing to ABBA with you, and the only thing you'll have to watch out for is making sure he has enough sleep. Other than that, he's looking for someone to maximize life. Hello, welcome to Single Sounds.
Hello.
Nice to have you here. It's a very sunny day. I love a sunny Sunday.
Beautiful day in London. Can't complain, can we?
Yeah, no, it's great. Let's move on to your profile. Your who, what, where. First question is, who are you sexually attracted to?
I am attracted to women.
What are you looking for?
Long-term relationship, ideally, and just to see where it goes, essentially.
Yeah. Any like height, age preferences?
Probably not 6'4", but I'm joking. I'm 5'10", so anyone under 5'10".
Yeah.
And age range, I'm pretty flexible with that. I think I'm 31, so I think somewhere in the middle, 24, 25, up to about 33. Quite flexible on that. Mm-hmm. You can meet people that are quite young but very mature for their age.
Yeah.
And the other way around, right?
Yeah. We've all experienced the other way around.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, and where would you like to date?
Preferably in London. I'm not looking for a pen pal, so you don't want to start, you do enough commuting in London, you don't want to commute for your dates to other countries, so I'm not against the idea of the right person being a bit further away, but I'd like to start dating in London or around, or just outside London.
Like, London accessible, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that makes sense. I couldn't agree more. Okay, let's move on to the 3 A's. So the first one is acceptance. Will they be accepting of your flaws and your quirks? So the first question is, what is your most controversial opinion?
Controversial opinion, basically just turn everyone off immediately with this. Alienate all women immediately. I hope not on this, but my controversial opinion, I think ABBA are massively overrated.
Really?
Yeah.
That is pretty controversial.
It's a big controversial one, but hear me out. So this goes for anything that's just overplayed on Nights Out. So I think during previous World Cups, Euros, and like all the summers in London, you go on a night out. Every night out ends with "Don't Look Back in Anger," "Sweet Caroline," ABBA, and
Angels, Robbie Williams.
Exactly, and they're fun at first, and then eventually you just get to the point where you're like, again, I have to get myself try and get animated for Sweet Caroline. I think I should have gone down the route of alienating everyone for Sweet Caroline rather than ABBA. But yeah,
I get what you mean. It's kind of similar genre of like we've heard this 1 million times.
Exactly, but yeah, just not a massive fan.
You won't be going to ABBA Voyage anytime soon.
No, I'd say musical's not really my bag in general. I'd prefer kind of cinema or going to the theatre. But yeah, musical's not really my... About as far as I go is like watching A Star Is Born, you know?
Yeah.
But
I get what you mean.
But yeah, I'd say just songs that trigger me on nights out because they're overplayed, like ABBA and...
Yeah, so when it comes on, everyone else is like screaming and you're just like, oh, no.
Yeah, can't be asked for this. I'll go get a drink or go to loo or something. Come back.
Everyone else is doing Dancing Queen. You're just like, no.
I'd rather just get say that than play it safe on that one. But yeah, hopefully all the ladies out there can forgive me for that one.
Yeah, you can just do a date that doesn't involve ABBA.
Exactly, yeah.
Fine. Okay, and what about your most toxic trait?
My mum always basically bullied me from a young age about being moody when I'm tired, which is quite funny. So
I get that. I can relate.
Our mutual friend Sam would know this as well because I saw him a couple of weeks ago, and I was not in the best state. Was just quite drained from work and everything, and yeah, you probably saw a tired version of me. So. Yeah, I'm definitely someone that needs more like my 7.5, 8 hours. A bit of a granddad these days with the early bedtime. So definitely looking for an early bird more than a party animal.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, just a bit of a moody boy. So I think it's just quite noticeable because normally I'm very chatty and naturally extroverted and quite. I'd definitely say I'm a very positive person. So it's night and day when I'm really tired. Like I notice the difference massively. So
no, I'm exactly the same. That's why I can relate because as soon as I'm like not really feeling like 100%, everyone's like, "What's wrong?"
Yeah, you're too quiet.
They're like, "You're way too quiet."
Too quiet.
Yeah, they're like, "You must be really upset," and I'm just like, "I'm tired."
Like, who's died? Like something. So, something bad has really happened. Like, no, I just need to go to bed.
I just don't need to be here. I always get called out on it, being like, "Oh my god, you're being so quiet," and it's like, I can't even just be peaceful. I can't be that peaceful friend.
I just don't want to speak.
Yeah, it's like, can't I just listen today?
Exactly. I'd also say I'm a workaholic to an extent as well, which I'm sure you can relate to if you put a lot of work into your podcast and everything. So, yeah, I guess I want someone that has that balance between being ambitious, wanting to progress in their own lives as well, build an amazing life together. But at the same time, I could probably do with someone to help me kind of switch off, get off social media and, just enjoy the moment a bit as well, right? Yeah,
that's nice. No, I agree. Be good to get someone that just is a bit more like detached maybe from that kind of world.
Yeah, exactly. Or just kind of understands how to find that balance between knowing when to relax and just switch off and knowing when to kind of put your foot down and work, basically.
Yeah, someone with a better work-life balance.
Exactly.
That's what we're looking for.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to adventure. When are you going to take us on a journey with your stories?
Oh dear, yeah.
My favourite question. What is your worst dating story?
I've got a good one. I mean, with this one, she's probably dodged a bullet, to be fair. So
she's dodged a bullet.
She escaped. A girl I went on a date with basically managed to escape from me on a date, which was quite funny. Ended a date early. But so for some context, before I became I'm a personal trainer now. Last 2 years. Before that, transitioned in lockdown. In my 20s, I spent most of my 20s working for investment banks, finance bro, accountancy stuff. And it wasn't even the sexy investment banking, it was just the behind the scenes, like number crunching accountancy stuff. So anyway,
still finance, it all counts.
Still finance, bro. Yeah. So I was working in Canary Wharf for a few years. I would have been about 24, 25 at the time, I think. And I got on this date, and I'm pretty sure it was Tinder, or I don't even know if Hinge was around at that point. It would have been Bumble or Tinder. Yeah. And we'd met at this bar, and it quickly became clear. There was nothing wrong at all, but it quickly became clear that after about half an hour, we'd run out of chat, and it was very superficial, surface level. You're trying to ask questions, but something's just not clicking. I think we've all had that on a date at some point.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind, it's only 35 or 40 minutes in. So
yeah, it's tough.
She goes to the loo, and I'm like, hang on, it's been 10 minutes or so. I'm like, what's going on with the time seems to be drifting a bit here. So on my phone, get this text from her saying,
no way,
I'm really sorry, I'm feeling really ill, and my friend's going to come meet me. All right, so we're in this bar, and it's kind of like in shopping centres in Canary Wharf. So you got like tons of bars about, and it's a fair old walk up to the loo. So I'm like, it's not like a random pub where there's a window you can open in and just escape through.
Yeah, she couldn't actually leave.
It's quite a random like sort of complex to get up to the loo. So I was like, okay, maybe she's just taking a bit more time. And then she says, I'm feeling really ill. My friend's going to come meet me and you can head off. And I was like, are you sure? Trying to do the right thing and be like, I really don't mind waiting. If you, are you sure you don't need any help if you're feeling ill? And then to this day, I don't know if she was bullshitting me or maybe she got bored of the monotone chat and needed. I don't blame her, but maybe she needed to escape and just couldn't face telling me. So.
Yeah. I guess she probably also like 23, 24.
I think so, yeah. Probably we were both about the same age.
Yeah.
And I think,
you don't have a lot of experience of
and
saying to someone like, look, I only want to have one drink.
I think we're both in the same boat. I should have probably just made up a story where I said, it's been nice to meet you. Like, I think after an hour to an hour and a half is fine to say, I've got a really early start tomorrow and just make an excuse to leave. And then, it's polite for you both.
I did that recently. I used the gym as the excuse.
No, that's a good one. I think you're within your rights because otherwise you're just sitting there wasting each other's time. So.
Well, yeah, like he was like, "Do you want another drink?" And it was really hard to be like, "No," because I'd only had one. But I was
you played that early start.
Yeah, I was like, actually no, like because he already knew that I got up for a 6:15 class like that day, the morning of. So I was like, I'm just really tired after that class because I've been up for so long. But obviously it was really early. We met at like 6:30, and this was like 7:15. Probably.
I'd be playing that same excuse with my early starts now. So
exactly.
I'd be playing the granddad card all day.
Yeah, well, I was like, and also I kind of really want to go again like tomorrow, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I think I don't really want to drink, another one, so I'm just gonna go. But it was like, I'd really love to meet you.
Brilliant.
That's awful. But it's like, it's so hard to do. Like, I was proud of myself for doing it.
You should be proud because I think a lot of people want to avoid awkward conversations that need to happen, right? You're just wasting each other's time if you sit there for 3-4 hours. So
yeah, he got a hint, and then he was like, "Oh, actually, my friend's around the corner at a pub. Like, I'll just go join them." And I was like, "Great idea, great idea." Same
thing for me after that. I've never been more buzzing escaping a date. So I text my housemate Piers at the time. I text him on the way back, and I was like, the date was going so badly, and she's like,
she's
disappeared. She's disappeared.
She did you a favour.
She did me a favour. Yeah. I left before an hour, got home, and it was 7 something, and still had the evening with my housemate or with friends around that area. So, but it did us both a favour. But it's just funny that I haven't heard a word since. I don't know what she's doing with her life. I don't know. I still don't know if she was actually ill.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. We'll go with probably not.
Yeah.
Don't blame her. But yeah.
Well, it's just such a funny excuse. It's kind of original. I don't think I've heard someone go to the loo and then just be like,
I'm ill.
It's kind of like embarrassing because.
Yeah,
like it's a bold one to pick.
That's why I think it might have been true. Like genuinely, she might have
an absolute disaster in the toilet.
Yeah, she might have. Like maybe she was feeling rough and didn't want to cancel or whatever. But yeah, I won't stroke my ego saying that. I'll just assume that.
She also didn't get the vibe.
Who knows what 45 minutes of my chat does to people? Well, we'll see at the end of this podcast. People will be running away, won't they? So. Oh dear.
No, I've never had that though. I do feel like it's more of a female thing to do. Like I've heard
in to try and cut it short or make an excuse or something.
Yeah, just to like run away, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think I've never been run out on, but I've heard of a lot of people that it's happened to.
Yeah.
Or they just like never show.
Yeah, I think that's obviously that's completely unacceptable. Like just if you arrange a date with someone, just commit to it.
I know it's bad.
It's
like even if you stay for one drink.
Exactly, you can't ghost. So no like horror stories, but that was the one that comes to mind.
Next question is, what is the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Biggest risk I've taken is definitely my career change because I did maths at uni, did an internship when I was 21 in Canary Wharf finance role.
Yeah.
Then everything was kind of laid out for me at that point. So I'd got a graduate scheme offer, which is really good. That took me from 22 to 25, 26. doing my accountancy qualifications.
They're tough.
They're tough. Yeah, they were tough. The one I was doing wasn't as hard, but
I think they're all hard.
SEMA, yeah. Anyone that out there that listen to this that's done ACA or CFA or those horrible ones will know. But yeah, I was doing my exams, but there was structure to each year. So we had, 25, 30 people in each year. You feel like you're at uni again up until 25, 26.
My grad scheme is very similar. It was great vibes.
So fun, and you're going out all the time midweek, you're having a laugh.
With everyone like your age as well.
Exactly. So you're lost in just enjoying those years. You rotate through different roles. But then you come out, I think a lot of people can relate when you get to 25, 26. There's that point where you're getting towards late 20s, you're not really sure the direction you're going with your work, and everyone's kind of winging it, and it's normal to be just figuring it out as you go, even into your 30s, right? But then I came to this point where I was just really lost at 26, 27, and I don't know, I was just going out all the time trying to distract myself from what I probably knew in my gut I needed to make a change on. But went to couple of different banks, and then I thought, okay, right, if I change the type of company I'm at, am I going to enjoy that more? So I got out of banking and went to the civil service.
Oh, nice.
So I did a more commercial focused finance role there during 2021, during lockdown. But then the same kind of feelings came back, and I just wasn't very fulfilled. Met some great people along the way, of course, but it was only in lockdown. So me and my housemates were planning to do a year out in South America and just travel the world.
Yeah.
So
sounds great.
It would have been great, but we booked one way during 2020. So
COVID.
Unsurprisingly, my one way to Colombia in April 2020 didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I moved back in with my parents. The job that I'd planned to quit, I stuck at for another kind of 6 months or so. I was very fortunate to be with my parents, saving up cash. And then eventually get to the point where, because luckily we'd been saving cash for this trip out that couldn't then happen, we were sitting on a decent amount of savings. And I think it was only when I had a bit of a security net with enough saved to live off, and the fact that I was back with my parents, and we weren't really spending during lockdown, that I eventually pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
So September 2020, resigned from the job, did my PT qualification, ended 2020, going into 2021. That's when I started YouTube, Instagram, and just got into the consistency of posting and all of that stuff alongside that role at the civil service. But then I came to the point where neither were growing, so I was just getting by in my 9-to-5, and then having to spend the weekends doing social media.
Yeah, it's so hard.
And nothing ever grows. You just like maintaining both.
Yeah.
So when I don't know, I think the trigger was, I've had therapy a couple of times, which to me is like a really good proactive way of managing your mental health. And it kept coming back to the same conclusion. So at the start of 2022, had therapy for the second time for about 6 to 8 weeks. And it was that weird lockdown where we went back in, and I was working from home every day, not really seeing anyone. So it's depressed probably from a social standpoint mainly. And then again, the lack of fulfillment was coming back in. So having spoken to that therapist and revisited the same themes for 6 to 8 weeks, she was like, to me, you seem like you've got a really good family, really good friends, and everything outside work seems pretty stable and really positive. The one theme that we keep revisiting is work. So why have you not taken action on that, essentially, or what's holding you back? And so eventually the penny dropped in March or April 2022. So about 2 years ago. I think as soon as I finished that call with the therapist, I started applying for personal training jobs, doing interviews at different places, Nuffield Health, Virgin Active, all these different gyms, and just getting the ball rolling. I'd already had the qualification at that point. And then from there, once I had something lined up, it was pulling the trigger to actually resign from the day job to go all in, which was terrifying because I can imagine. Because I had cash saved, but you're walking into a gym on day one with zero income. I'm like, right, if this all goes to shite, then I probably could live off it for the rest of the year, which I wouldn't say I'm really risk adverse, but I'm probably quite conservative with that generally and sensible. So I only took the plunge when I knew I could live off it for 6 months or so.
Sensible.
So I just took the plunge, and then it started building a bit quicker than I was expecting. But the anxiety in those first few months, and even, to this day where you get a few clients drop off,
Oh, I can imagine.
Running your business
It must feel
is
really
hard.
personal when you're like a client. Because I've had to do it with a PT before. I had him for a year, and then I was like, goodbye.
I feel like you're breaking up.
It was awful. It was really awful. And obviously, like, he tried to make me stay, which, like, obviously you appreciate is like their income, and you get really close with them.
Of course.
Because you have like weekly check-ins, and I can't imagine what it was like on the other side. It felt really awful.
I think it's just understanding the peaks and troughs, right? And I think every year that you're in business, you'll probably know it as well, is I think you get a bit better at managing the ups and downs.
Yeah.
So one thing I've learned from this...
It's just almost like practice being rejected. Yeah.
Practice, you get a few drop-offs, you keep the faith, you keep doing what you're doing, and it picks back up, and you manage the ups and downs. So I'd say the hardest thing with being self-employed is just keeping level-headed in the middle.
Yeah.
Not being buzzing when you get a really good month, and then knowing that there'll be a bit of a dip, but looking across a more macro perspective over a year, as long as a low month this year is better than last year.
Yeah.
And not sort of beating yourself up about that. But biggest risk I've taken, and seeing so many lives transformed, it's very rewarding.
I bet it's very fulfilling.
It's very fulfilling and rewarding.
You can see the results, like they're tangible.
Exactly.
And people are telling you like constantly, like, this has changed my life. That must be really nice.
It's an amazing feeling, and I definitely wouldn't change it, but it doesn't, I think no job comes without its downside. So
I agree.
It's a bit higher stress, because you're doing everything yourself, and it can be frustrating at times when you put in all the work in, or you're doing all the right things. But I'd sort of give the parallels. It's like a client doing all the right things for weight loss or for getting in shape, but the results not being instant. So you got to just teaches you patience, discipline, and then being resilient in the ups and downs. So
consistency. I guess that's the same with fitness, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's all the boring
and fitness.
It's all the boring stuff, and it's just every single podcast you see comes back to the fact that it's just consistency over time, but knowing the right strategies and right things to be doing. Biggest risk I've taken, but the best thing I ever did, because I think you flip it and you think the bigger risk would have been not to change anything, right?
Yeah.
Because I had this vision of getting to 85, 90 and then looking back and going, what if, and that is such a horrible feeling of like regret. So, even if you do go after that passion or whatever it is, if it doesn't work out, just go back to what you're doing before.
I think that's the thing, especially when you have like, you had a good career before, in the sense of like it's stable, and there's always going to be the need for accountants. Like that's kind of how I justified it to myself when I quit engineering.
Exactly.
I was like, they're always going to need transport engineers. Like if I really struggle and I think it was a really big mistake, like I could just go back, and sure, like maybe I would have lost a few years in the sense of like promotion, but like realistically that's probably not going to really impact my life.
You probably learn more in terms of life skills and more about yourself as well. And I think to an extent there's that element of like what you've learned along the way, which you could then pitch in an interview, right?
Yeah.
What have you learned about doing this own thing yourself 100%. And whatnot?
I think it's really great that you've done that, to be honest. I think it's really cool. And I think life is about figuring out what you want to do, and that's what you've done.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of building the life that you want to live. And I always say, I think that's another thing that I'm always kind of preaching to clients, is trying to be as much of a mentor as well as just a coach, right? So when I got myself in the best shape I've been in and my confidence went through the roof, that was when I think that was partly when I was able to pull the trigger. So I remember doing a photo shoot and getting the leanest I'd already got, and I saw the photos, and I can't believe I actually did that. And then the day after that, I handed my notice in at the gym in terms of stopping working for them and becoming sort of fully self-employed, because when you start at the gym, you're doing the classes and being paid for those hours for the gym, and then when you bring your client hours up, you go fully self-employed. What I always say to clients is, you don't realize it, but it's more about the confidence you get from just seeing the changes in shape, or the mindset that you build along the way, to then kind of value yourself more. And then I've seen clients go from not being able to run to running a half marathon or a marathon, losing 15, 20 kilos, asking for a promotion at work that they were scared to ask for, changing job. Because if you get in a better place in how you feel, how you look mentally, physically, then that's going to allow you to not get in your own way and actually go after the things you want, whether that be that promotion or applying for a new job or whatnot. And I definitely saw that myself. Like the more I kind of progressed from a physical standpoint myself, and more I challenged myself there, the more I just held myself to a higher standard outside the gym as well. So whether it be trying to be a better partner or a better friend, and just be it and elevate myself from a
all
mental
aspects.
perspective.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I don't want to rush away from this industry, so I just need to stick at it long enough to progress, basically.
Yeah, you do. Just keep going. Keep posting those videos.
keep pestering everyone so that they mute my stories.
I'm actually intrigued because it does impact my dating life a bit, but obviously it's a different industry for you.
Yeah.
Do you find that having like a social media channel impacts how people feel about you before going on dates?
I think because my following is so tiny. I think because my presence is so tiny at the moment.
No, but so is mine, but people are still really bothered by it. Yeah.
See, I haven't really had that. I don't know if I wonder if it's just an assumption that, I don't know, if you're a personal trainer or something, it's quite a visual related industry. Like people would expect you to be on social media. I don't know, but
yeah, you're right.
And also, my ex-partners are quite comfortable on social media and kind of her previous girlfriend was posting herself, so I think maybe that helps.
I also wonder maybe if it is a more of like a gendered thing because men post less. Maybe
that's a good point. I think
they're like maybe more like conscious of it if they're dating a girl who does.
I think that's it.
Whereas more women post, so they're less likely to be bothered.
I think I was just thinking about all the there's more women posting like Instagrammable pics they're basically better at content, right? Yeah, more like aesthetic.
Even the average people still
the average
post
people
nice
are posting nice photos of holidays and all that stuff. And there's probably loads of blokes that, I mean, myself in the past as well, where I'd go like a year without posting, forgetting to put my holiday pics up. I would say that, but it came back to your point about the challenges of dating with that. I think it's more so the routine actually. Okay, like we were speaking off air about it, but the early starts. How
early are we talking?
5 a.m.
Okay. Yeah.
So if I'm up at 5 in the gym for 6, I need to be in bed early. So again, I need someone that understands that kind of that I'm an early bird, someone that's on a similar schedule. And I think the challenge is when I was 24, 25 and going out dating, because I was drinking more then, or I was more in the party mode and whatnot. It's easier because meeting someone at 11 p.m. or 10 p.m. or going on a night out on a first date and things like that, things I'll do regularly, and that just sets me back like days and weeks, whatever. Now I'm probably selling myself as a boring granddad there, but I'm not trying to. But for me, it's more daytime stuff. Right?
I actually think like being older, so many more people are in that mindset. Like I have a lot of friends that we would get up at 5:30 to go to the gym. Like I think especially if you've got a 9 to 5, like it is the only time that's kind of reserved for you. Like I used to go in the evenings, and I don't do that anymore because they get taken up by people.
Social stuff, yeah.
That's
why.
So they do go at 6:15.
Exactly. You got to. I always say that to clients as well. Like the chances of you skipping it after work. I mean, I would not. I'd rather not go to the gym than go after work. I can't. I hate it. So getting stuff done before so you free up time in the evening and for plans or just chilling is so much better. But so for me, like activities at the weekend and social stuff, I still quite enjoy things like, I used to go to a lot of music festivals. I love traveling and all of that stuff, but it's about how do I take all my interests and do it during the day instead. So, in the summer, going to like a daytime festival where I can still get in bed at 11 or something, rather than staying out on a late one, and still having the odd late night here and there, but saving big nights out for holidays, anniversaries, all these big things every few months rather than doing it every weekend like I used to. But
makes sense.
So it's finding that the challenges then becomes dates for me initially are things like coffee and a walk daytime, at the weekend doing fun activities, going for dinners, all these things, but from in a sensible Sally o'clock basically, rather than like
not like 3 a.m.
party Peter or whatever.
Party Peter, sensible Sally.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's really funny. Let's move on to affection section. This is where your affections lie or don't lie, and you've picked, what is your biggest ick?
Biggest ick, I mean, I would hope that most people would agree with this anyway, but just rude people. I have a big issue with people that don't say please and thank yous. I guess there's a cultural thing to an extent, because in the UK we love to apologise when we don't need to. Oh, sorry.
Just say sorry constantly.
Just say sorry constantly, which can be a bit triggering for probably anyone outside the UK. But at the same time, I think you see a lot about how people treat others, strangers. So, for example, when I was working in my early 20s, when I was in banking, right?
Yeah.
The way my mum brought me up and my parents brought me up was just to be friendly to everyone that you meet, right?
Yeah.
Just try and be a nice person, even if you're not feeling 100% well. So, for example, for me, you know, going to the canteen at work or speaking to the cleaners and in the gym and stuff like that, all of that just comes naturally to me, and I'll just at least say, hey, how are you, and try and be friendly. And I think it's when people think that they're better than other people or just are rude for the sake of it, you know, just not saying thank you if someone hands you food that you just ordered, or, you know, a waiter, try and be friendly, have a laugh with the waiter or the waitress, and just be respectful, I'd say, with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So just
makes sense.
It jars me, you know, like people kind of clicking their fingers for
Have you
service and stuff like that. I've seen that, but I do wonder if it's a cultural thing to an extent, like whether there's difference in, obviously there's that to be factored in. So it's just rude people, I'd say, in general.
No, I mean I think the thing is, I don't know if it's an ick or is it just a turn off. I feel like maybe it is, because like, does anyone really like rude people?
It's a bit of a safe one, maybe, because icks are more like kind of
silly ones.
You fancy,
you know what I mean?
you fancy
really
someone, but
ones.
they do this. Yeah. You got any?
Yeah, I've got a whole. Oh, I don't know if I've read out my list in a while. Let's have a read.
There you go. Put you on the spot.
Some of these are really ridiculous. It's not too long. I've definitely read out some of these before. Oh, this is a new one that I recently found out. Wears a visor helmet when skiing. So in the you like flick the goggles down instead of like, they're not like separate to the helmet.
I should admit that I'm a skiing noob. So what would most normal people do then?
Yeah. So they just have a helmet.
Yeah.
And then they'd have goggles that like are just separate, and you just put them like over.
Okay.
Whereas these are like, the goggles are attached to the helmet, so you kind of flick them down a bit like a motorcycle, you know, like with the visor,
the kind of reflective visor. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get that in a ski form, and it's because you get those
because when you go into the airport and you go through GC3 or whatever, you see those, you know, ghastly sunglasses that look like those visors. That's what I'm kind of picturing. Yeah, those. You look like you go on holiday with your mates, but you look like you're going, you know, on a 500k cycle and, you know, wearing lycra basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny enough what we did to one of my best mates for his stag do last year.
What? You went cycling?
No, but we dressed him up in the gear, even though we were just going to the airport.
Just full lycra.
Yeah, one of my best mates from uni is getting married. It was brilliant, and I can't take credit for the outfit, but I was one of the groomsmen, and one of the other groomsmen had a genius idea, and he said that for the 3 days, because it was in the Algarve in Portugal, it was quite warm, and he was saying, right, we can't dress them up in things that are like superheroes or too obvious to be
like
a fancy dress.
Yeah.
We want to embarrass them to the point where basically just dress him up in dodgy clobber so that people don't know if he's on the stag do or not.
Yeah.
So on the way out,
just looks like he's chosen to wear that.
On the way out, I wasn't at the airport. There was half going from Manchester, half from London, and I get this pic through on WhatsApp, and poor Ben, who hopefully isn't listening to this, but I'm sure you wouldn't mind. But they got him a like tight cycling shorts, the Lonsdale slip-on shoes, and then a t-shirt that just said "Brexit means Brexit." So he had to go through passport control with that, and nice. And then I got him a full Lonsdale outfit, including fake tattoos, sleeveless hoodie. And then the slip-ons came back out, and then these like 3/4 length shorts. Again, no offense to any Americans listening that wear them to the baseball or whatever.
The baseball, the really baggy or horrible ones.
Yeah, so you get
us, they're such an ick.
To the point where the plan came to fruition, because what was happening was we were going on these nights out, and there was girls on hen do's, guys and stag do's, and this girl came up to him and was just like, "What are you wearing?" And he's like, "I'm the stag." And he's like, "Honestly, I'm on the stag."
That's so brilliant.
We were
she was
up.
Just like, "You look ridiculous."
Yeah.
But you've clearly chosen to wear.
You've chosen to wear
normal clothes.
This is your normal clothes, right?
Yeah.
And he's, I don't know how she didn't quite gather that from the fact that there's so many of us there, but yeah.
Maybe she just thought it was a really poorly dressed friend.
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. So, if anything comes out of this podcast, and I do eventually, you know, someone does put up with me for marriage, If I ever do get married, I could be a bit screwed if he gets me back, basically.
Yeah.
So
I'll be all right. Just be a bit embarrassing.
I'd rather that than just funny outfits. I've got no problem with that.
Yeah.
I'd be more concerned with like, being tied to a lamppost and left overnight or something,
no, none of that.
So
yeah. I feel like silly outfits is like,
yeah, it's the way to go.
Yes.
Anyway, that was a good tangent.
I'm good at tangents. It's bestie rec time. So I'm gonna play your close friend's summary of why someone should date you.
If you're looking for a guy in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes, then I'm afraid my mate isn't the guy for you. That's because quit his job in a city to become a full-time personal trainer. So if you're looking for somebody who is a small business owner who will whip you into shape to do steps around Battersea Park or even to run the Hackney Half Marathon with you next May, then he is the man for you. What else can I say? Well, he really puts his friends and his family first. Or should I say he'll put your friends first? That's because he has an excellent reputation for becoming best mates with many of your friends. In fact, the reason I know is through a good friend of mine. What else? Well, he's really into his Spanish. So if you're looking for somebody to go to Spain with or even anywhere else in Europe, then is perfect. In fact, he could teach you because he certainly knows a little bit more than una cerveza, por favor. Jokes aside though, if you're looking for somebody who is fun, kind, sporty, will be loved by your friends, and even more importantly, be loved by your mum, then look no further than this guy.
I'm really pleased with that. I was worried what he'd say, but I think he's captured it quite well.
He's done you a solid.
He's done me a solid there.
And you got in a few extra things like the Spanish. That's fun.
Yeah, I think doing my first my half marathon next year for the first time, and just sort of push myself outside my comfort zone. So for me, in school, I always dodged languages. I just told this narrative to myself that I couldn't do them. I dropped French at year 8 or 9, didn't do any at GCSE, which is a big regret. And I thought, I had a group of friends, my housemate peers that I mentioned previously, and I had a close group of friends, one of which whose older brother moved to Zaragoza in Spain. And so because we started traveling Spain together as a group and they were all way ahead of me, it just made sense to go with Spanish this time. And I started getting on a bit better with it and, practicing on my app daily and just built up that consistency. And the last 6 months or so, I've been having lessons online with, again, this goes back to my networking. So a guy I met in the gym who's really nice put me in touch with his Spanish teacher. So now I'm having lessons with her online, really enjoying that. And
that's interesting.
And every time I go to, I think because I love Spain so much and it's so widely used, I thought it made the most sense. So if I go to South America or even Philippines or wherever it is, loads of Spanish is spoken. So I thought it'd be most useful. And each time I go to Spain, I can see my level improving a little bit. I'm still way off it, obviously. Still in the kind of more beginner, probably more intermediate writing and reading now, but speaking and listening is still quite beginner. And so it would be nice. It would be nice to have someone that kind of shares that sort of interest. But I think it was more just the challenge and seeing the progression.
Yeah, it's like to challenge yourself.
Again, if I got back, if I was 85, 90 and I'd never really given learning a language a proper go for a few years consistently, I definitely would have regretted it. And I can already see the level improving a lot. And I think, it'd be exciting to one day, whether it's 50 or 60 or however old I am at that point, just to say I am bilingual,
Yeah, that would be great. I'm very impressed.
And, Spanish girls are very attractive, so I can't. So I'm not gonna say no to someone who's half English, half Spanish, or whatever. No. Who knows?
Yeah, they are just so attractive. Like it's the tan.
It's the tan and that.
It's the tan.
It's the tan.
I'm jealous of the tan.
Yeah.
And they just have like a really nice, relaxed energy as well.
I think that's another thing that I kind of vibe with in terms of the culture is that everyone's very in Spanish-speaking countries, or even Italy, Greece, and all the sort of on the continent. People are very warm and welcoming. Portugal as well, and you just people are very friendly. They want to kind of get to know you, and you can meet people on a night out and just have like the funniest night. And the only thing I am thinking about that culture is they eat far too late, and that's something I'd have to accept if I ever move there or
really late.
I'd be like falling asleep at the dinner table. So I don't know how I'll have to address that if and when that issue.
We eat so I can eat at like 6 p.m.
Oh yeah. I'm going to bed normally when they're eating, so I don't want to put anyone off. Don't want to put anyone off.
Skincare routine.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're tucking down to like their feast.
I'm there getting my dove out. There's a dinner table. That's something I'd have to deal with. But I think if you move there or in future, which I would never rule out, it's just about adapting to the culture, and I think shifting. You would adjust to it, wouldn't you? So good to be flexible on that sort of stuff. So, but I'm pretty happy with that bestie back. It could have been a lot worse, and I think if I can get anything across from the kind of podcast, I think it is that I do. I'm very kind. I'm fun, but I'm kind and I'm serious about people. So if I do make friends with people or I get into a relationship with someone, like I do take it very seriously, and I'd say quite a loyal person, and probably just very consistent in all areas of my life, which is a very unsexy trait to say I'm consistent, but I think
it's quite important.
But it's important.
I think I'd look for that in a partner.
So the consistency. If I try and show up every day, whether it be with my work, with social media, with doing my Spanish, with working out, exercising regularly, reaching out to my friends, seeing my family regularly, all this sort of stuff. So that's what I'd say. I'm just a very consistent person in that way.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Do you want to do a short summary of why someone should date you?
Short summary: super active, very keen traveller. I want to travel as much of the world as I possibly can.
Nice.
Golden retriever energy, very positive.
Nice.
Unless I haven't slept, which we talked about. Unless I haven't slept, I'm a midi boy. So I'd say if you're equally active, enjoy travelling a lot, you're ambitious, and you just want to maximise life with me, then get in touch.
Maximise life. Yeah. Sounds great.
Let's do it.
Yay. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. I loved it.
Yeah, great. So, are you ready to maximise life with this amazing single man? If you are, you can write into the podcast at Single Sounds on Instagram to get his details. Or if you're on a social media break, you can email the podcast, singlesoundspodcast@gmail.com, to write in as well. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to get your tickets for the live show, and hopefully I will see you all at the end of this month. Have a brilliant first week of July, and I'll be back next Tuesday. Bye.